From Microbe TV, this is Q&A with A&V. I'm Vincent Racaniello, and joining me tonight from Chevy Chase, Maryland, Amy Rosenfeld. Hello, Amy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm pissed off, but that's a separate issue. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. Your name is Rosenfeld, right? Because some others have misspelled it lately, correct?
Misspelling is completely different than I'm a Rosenberg.
Yeah, people.
I've also been a Rosengardner. I've been a Bloomberg. I believe I've been almost a Stein. Oh, and I've been a Steinberg. The only thing I haven't been is a Silverstein.
Okay. I've been a
And this is
variety of
all
things.
according. No, you've just had your name misspelled. You've not been told you belong to a separate family.
Oh, yes, you're right. But can I tell you a brief story? And it won't take
Sure.
long because I know last time I spoke too much.
No, you were fine. It's all good. It's
When
entertaining. That's what we're here for.
when I was a kid, I played Little League. One of the coaches couldn't pronounce my name, so he'd have his
Which
clipboard.
name? Vincent or Racaniello?
Oh, the last name, right? So he would call me. You know, he's calling people to go out to their positions. Raccajoliolio, first base. Can you
played
imagine?
first base?
Raccajoliolio? Yeah, it was a big
What
guy
is-
for the little leagues, and so they put me at first base. They put me batting fourth, but
You
I
must
never.
have been a good athlete.
It's okay. Anyway, thanks to everyone for coming tonight. I want to thank our moderators for being here. That would be Steph and Les and Frank and Vanity. Tom is going to pop in later. Tom is actually in Madison, Wisconsin. He's going to ASV.
You're going to have drinks with Tom?
Wouldn't
I think
mind.
you should have drinks with Tom.
Anybody at Madison this weekend? I'm going out Friday night. Hopefully, flights will not be canceled, and staying till Wednesday. So a good number of days.
Is Doreen the one who is in Indiana who keeps saying that she's going to drive out to see you?
I think so, but I don't think she should do that. It's too far to drive. But Tom is there for family, so that's good. All right. So anyway, thanks, moderators, for doing your job tonight. Thanks, everyone, for coming back. I will not say anything now except that Amy got a grant review today, so she's really pissed off. And but the fact that she has a job, she has a lab, really, what's the word?
It does not ameliorate it. Not at all.
I'm not going for ameliorate. I'm looking for something lesser. Anyway, it helps a bit.
There is nothing lesser
You're
than
smiling.
that.
You're smiling, Amy, and you wouldn't be if you were still at Columbia and you got this review. And let me just tell folks one thing they said. They said a criticism, it does not appear that they have a BSL-2 for doing the animal work. What the hell have I been working in for the last 2 years with Amy? Twice a week. We go to the BSL-2 to inoculate mice. It's written in there. This is one of the problems with NIH review. They don't read it, and they make wrong statements, and you have no recourse, folks. You can't say, hey, this is wrong. Nope. That's it. You just send it in again.
Well, apparently somebody named Rosenberg also has been productive with, what did they say? Productive with papers?
Yeah, in a lab of scarce
in a lab
resources.
of scant resources.
So that's
I
me.
want to know who this Rosenberg person is.
Yeah, they spell your names wrong. So Amy, remarkably, she texted me about 10 pages worth of stuff just before the show. But she's very calm because she is in a new place, and all these criticisms are going to be gone, Amy. You don't have to deal with any of them because I'm gone. So it's all good.
It has nothing to do with you. The criticism isn't about you. As one of our authors pointed out, you're an eminent virologist.
An eminent virologist with scant resources. Okay.
Well, I don't know. Well, as I said, let's say Somebody named Rosenberg has maintained some productivity. So they had to qualify my productivity
as some.
with scant as some. So I want that person to come and write me an email and explain to me what other person who is a single person lab who is responsible for the animal work, the animal protocols, the IBC, the billing, writing of the papers, writing of the grants, ordering the resources, doing the experiments, and everything, has published 3 papers in the last 4 years. And two of them are seminal, or actually all 3 of them are seminal papers. So I would like that reviewer to let me know what other lab is driven by a single individual.
They won't. They hide behind anonymity, right?
Apparently. But honestly, find me somebody else who is a single person lab who then also had some spare time to go see their family and various other things. Now, I did not have a lot of spare time, but I did make time to go see my family when required.
Don't take it seriously.
So I want to know.
Don't take any of the criticism seriously.
Unfucking believable.
They're wrong.
Unfucking believable.
Okay, I gave.
Look, Jen's here.
Very good. Welcome, Jen. What? Animal
Jen's
Party.
Here.
Jen.
Yeah, Animal Party. She was not here last week, but she's here today.
All right. So Elena says, did you hear Slavitt's podcast with Bill Hanage or Hanage or Hanage? I did not. Did you?
I did not. No.
Epidemiologist at Harvard.
Yeah, I know who he is. I did not hear. I did not listen.
So, folks, I got an email from Slavitt's PR person last week.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks. Slavitt has a PR person that pimps him out. Okay.
I pimp you out. I don't get any commission. I pimp you out freely, and
right.
I pimp you out for free, and I freely do it.
Well, I can't pay you. You work for the government now. I cannot pay you. Okay. Anyway. Wow. This PR person said, we'd love to have Andy on TWIV. It's such a great show.
So did you respond and say, sure?
Have they responded? No. Why do you bother asking me if you're not going to respond? Don't waste my time. Anyway, I haven't heard this podcast. And as I said to Ellen, I typed to her, he's an epidemiologist. He's not a virologist. BA 275. Yeah, as Omicron diversifies, it gets more changes. This is not surprising, but I defy Hanage or anyone else to predict what effect they're going to have. We can only know after we do the experiments. Don't you think about that, Amy?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. What do we have? And then Ellen has said epidemiologists and media have made a mess of the whole thing.
Do you think, considering the fact that they've made up a number, got huge amounts of money for this cockamamie concept, had half of the world buy into this bullshit? Which
concept?
The R naught.
Oh, that it's 18 for BA5.
No, that it's even a number, that this concept of R naught even exists.
All right. There was something else here. Here we go. Happy to see a session today, as I thought Vincent was away. I'm leaving Friday, which reminds me, I didn't tell you this, Amy, but I think next week we could do it on Thursday. Does that work for you, Amy?
Yeah, it works.
Because I'm not here on Wednesday. I'll be arriving late, if at all, right? Who knows? The bloody airlines, if I'm going to arrive at all. All right, but we'll post it so that you will know. And someone has said to me, I need to look at the camera more because Z-Dog looks at the camera all the time, and that's what makes him so powerful. I thought my 40 years of virology experience made me powerful, but if just looking at the camera does it, now I can't read the comments if I keep looking at the camera. See, that's the issue because the comments are below. So from time to time.
Maybe we need to figure out how to use your teleprompter that we bought many years ago.
It could be. It could be. Audio podcast downloads, what percentage do you think are listened to? That's a good question.
Wait a minute. Audio podcasts, what percentage do I think are listened to by whom? And
so you know, when you have a podcast player, it automatically downloads, but you may not listen, but it registers as a download. So how many people actually listen to them? So if you if you're in the Apple Podcast universe, they will provide you information about how many people actually listen and for how many minutes they listen. But you have to make your podcast exclusive to Apple, and I do not wish to do that, so I don't get that information. So I don't know, Pete. It's a good question. So every episode of TWIV is downloaded maybe 40 to 50,000 times, right? Some more, some less. Maybe, I don't know. I bet half of them get listened to, but I just don't know. I just don't know. And if you're doing ads, that's an issue, right? So what is the
wait, they give you more money
if you're doing
ads?
ads, the more you get paid so much per 1,000 downloads. Yeah. It's called a CPM. And so
wait, when you did ads, you just said send me $3,000.
No, I did two kinds. I did ads where like Mount Sinai would advertise their program, and I gave them a fixed rate.
And Gene Lim would just give you $3,000.
Whatever it was. But then other companies, when I had an ad contract with a company, I was paid by the 1,000 downloads, which is very lucrative because you can make more money that way. But I don't like ads on the shows. I'd rather have people support it, as you know, Amy. So what is the
I had no idea.
What is the biological Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to move on. No more downloads. Amy, what's the biological definition of acute as an acute virus infection?
It starts and finishes.
It's perfect. The clarity that is Amy, and I'm not being facetious. It is. It starts and it stops. That's right. And so it has nothing to do with severity because many acute infections are asymptomatic, right, or mild. So, in fact, we got a letter from a pharmacist, Elena, on the latest TWIV, which was recorded yesterday because I'm traveling on Friday. It will drop on Sunday as usual. And we discussed.
Was that the two farms from San Francisco, Kip and Lauren?
No, it was a different pharmacist.
I haven't seen them recently.
Apparently, a pharmacist like TWIV, or at least some
I know,
pharmacists.
but Kip and Lauren I haven't seen recently.
Minervois. My wife and I both got COVID. She's positive, and I am now negative. Do we need to mask around each other and stay in separate rooms? No, you don't. I presume you're also vaccinated, and so
doesn't matter.
You're protected. Why doesn't it matter, Dr. R? Tell me.
Well, you're both you both had COVID, so you both have natural immunity, so it doesn't make a difference. So the RNA is hanging out a bit longer for your wife versus you.
Yeah.
It's not really clear why that is, but it is.
Folks, you like Amy's sweater? What's the color? Is it orange?
Tangerine.
Tangerine. Okay.
I don't know. Tangerine.
Looks good.
Kind of like isn't there a famous Beatle or Bob Dylan song called Tangerine Dream?
I thought it was a band. Tangerine.
No, I thought like Tangerine Dream or something was a Beatles or Bob Dylan song. Neither
German electronic music band.
Oh, guess
that's their biggest hit. I never listened to any of their music. I know you've stated 1 billion times, but I have some skeptics that are convinced that vaccines have to always prevent transmission. Prove them wrong, please. Dr. Rosenfeld.
No vaccine prevents transmission.
It reduces it, right?
Reduces it, but no vaccine prevents transmission.
Yes, because no vaccine prevents infection.
Right.
So you're going to get infected, you're going to shed a little virus, you're going to transmit it, but much less than if you were not vaccinated.
Although I did learn last week that if you don't, if you allow for infection and replication, and you actually then allow for reversion, what's the point of the vaccine?
No, I bet this was the polio vaccine, right?
Yeah, it was. And some pediatrician looked me in the eye over Zoom and said, "Well, why am I vaccinated? What's the point of this?" And then I told somebody yesterday that, and he just like moved on because it was not worth his time
Didn't he
acknowledging
say?
such stupidity.
Didn't he
No, he
say
moved
what's the
on.
point of this vaccine anyway?
Yeah, that's what they said.
The polio
And then
vaccine
when
that
I
has nearly eliminated polio. What's the point of it, huh? Okay.
yes,
Amy, you're
and then I repeated it to somebody yesterday who is the vaccine god,
yeah,
right?
yes.
And he didn't even acknowledge the comment because it was so insipid. He just moved on. It was like kind of
I
hysterical.
think that's
And then
good.
I felt kind of stupid telling him the story. And it was kind of embarrassing telling
Well,
him the story because he's my boss.
it's a
And
life lesson,
and I
Amy,
didn't
that
want him to think that I was an idiot, but I was just flabbergasted that a pediatrician practicing medicine today had the audacity to say, "What is the point of this vaccine?" I felt
not
like saying to her,
audacity, but lack of understanding, I would put it.
"It is audacious." Like she didn't even blink. It was like, "You have no concept. Give back your MD degree.
Well, I'll tell
Go
you,
take."
look, your boss's reaction um,
It was
is
amazing. I
it's a
thought,
life lesson. It just goes to show you don't have to react to everything. You tend to react to everything, which is not a bad thing, but some situations you may not want to react to, okay?
I know, but
And I
this
think it's
one was
really
so
good.
egregious.
I think it's really good that you've moved out from under my umbrella, and now you're going to be under others, and you're going to learn different things from them, because who's to say that my mentoring is always
No,
right?
I think it's good to have a chimera of mentoring, but I was just so
Chimera
uh
of mentoring. I like that.
yeah, the chimera of mentoring.
Is
I
that like a
was just
recombinant, Amy?
yeah, it is. I was just so flabbergasted by the gall of this pediatrician.
Not cool. It's just not understanding. That's all. Okay,
Well,
that's
what
all
did
it
they
is.
learn in medical school then?
All medical schools are not created equal.
Apparently not. Apparently she should have elevated to a higher level or not have taken any medical school. But what do I know?
Let's see. Don't worry, be happy. BA5 is hitting hard here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I know so many folks who avoided COVID for years who have gotten infected, yeah, and none will show in the stats. Yes, but it doesn't matter. It's mainly mild, with some exceptions, mainly mild. And I just want to remind everyone what Offit said. He said, pandemic's over when we want it to be over, because we can protect most folks from severe disease. There are some that cannot be, and we have to learn how to protect them, how to take care of them. But we have to live with this because it's not going to change. It's not going to change in a year or 2 years or 5 years. And so, yeah, BA5 is infecting a lot of people. That's the way it's going to be. In the fall, another variant will infect a lot of people, and et cetera, et cetera. And when you decide you can live with it, then you will, I think. Hello, Vanity. Favorite evening of the week. Hopefully, if we change it for 1 week to Thursday, it will still be a favorite. Thank you for moderating. Elena, do you think the U.S. will ever create a national health database? What do you think, Amy? Amy has her finger on the pulse of healthcare. What do you think?
I don't have the finger. I want to know what is this national database going to be on?
Oh, it's like what many other countries have. If you go for a doctor visit or a hospital visit, that gets logged into a computer, and that information can be accessed by people with the right credentials. We don't have that in the U.S., and that's what Offit said. He said, our inability to properly monitor severe COVID is partly a consequence of our lack of a national health database. And
What are
so
you talking about? My mother has one health insurance company. She went to one doctor in New York and one doctor in New Jersey. And she does not have a single portal. She has
that's what
like
we're talking
portals.
about. That's
Yeah,
exactly
I
what we're
mean, so
talking
it's
about.
not about it's not even within the same within the same insurance company you can have multiple portals of the same
Yeah, but
individual.
some
It's like
countries have
totally
figured it out.
ridiculous.
Some
Well,
countries
I
have figured it out.
understand that. But it's not even a country. What I'm saying is, before we even start talking about country, why does my mom have 3 portals with the same insurance company?
I, I don't know. I think
And
it
the
will.
and
I
the
think we will
physicians are
never.
both in the net are in the same network, so it makes no
Yeah,
sense
I think we
whatsoever.
will never, Ellen. I think we will never have a national health database for the single reason that we have 50 states who all think they're independent countries for the most part, and they won't do what the other states do. I could be wrong
I
because
don't
this
think
is.
that has anything to do with it. I think it has to do with insurance
Well, that
companies.
could be as well. That could be as well. Here's a question for you. Obviously, not your department, but why has the FDA approved glyphosate? You know what that is, Amy?
No, no
It's a
idea.
weed killer.
Is that like Roundup?
Yeah, it's Roundup, I think.
I thought Roundup was taken off the market.
I don't know. I know that all our Roundup is in the garage in one box to be discarded safely because we won't use it anymore. Let me make sure that I'm sure someone's good. Glyphosate is used in products such as Roundup. Yeah. And I don't think you can answer that, Amy, right? You can't answer about glyphosate because that's out of your wheelhouse, correct?
I don't work for the Center of Drug Evaluation and Review, so I don't
That
know.
would
I
be
don't know.
CETER, Center for.
Center for Drug Evaluation and Review, CDER.
Okay, so
I don't
glyphosate
work
would
for
be under
them.
that purview, right? Okay.
Yes, I don't work for them. I don't know what I don't. I thought it was all recalled. I thought that the FDA retracted it, but I don't know. Plus, I'm not a gardener, so I have no idea. I
How's
guessed that it was Roundup.
how's the weather in Chevy Chase?
It's good. It's very hot today.
Is it humid?
Yeah, it's humid, but it's fine. I mean, it was very cool on the 4th of July. It was unbelievably cold on the 4th of July when I went out with my sister's friends to see the fireworks on my roof. And then it was like a panorama of fireworks because we could see them in all
Cool.
360
Did they like
degrees.
that?
She did, yeah. It was one girl who came, yeah.
So yeah, so the BA5 movement is a combination of fitness and yeah, people are out and about. Many people at no masks, gathering and so forth. That's the way it's going to be. You're not going to change that. Yeah,
I don't know that it's a combination of lax attitudes.
I
I
think a lot
think
of
that
people are getting together in large numbers and they're not wearing masks, and I think
yeah,
it's
but I don't
fine.
have a problem with that.
No, no, I don't either. And apparently
But
neither does Paul Offit, right?
no, because at some point you're going to have to come to grips.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
On some of the trips you're taking, any issues with flight delays or misconnections? Well, I've only taken 2 this year, right? Nebraska and Zurich.
Yeah.
Neither canceled. The flight from Nebraska, I went through Chicago, and it was delayed because Biden apparently landed, and so they stopped all the flights for a while, for an hour.
Well,
Now,
luckily Biden's in the Middle East, so he's on the opposite direction of Wisconsin.
I'm very worried about my upcoming trip. So I have this Friday, I'm going to Madison. So I have a direct on Friday, but coming back Wednesday is through Chicago. And then the following Sunday, I go to Fort Collins, which is a direct to Denver, and then a shuttle bus for 2 hours to Fort Collins. So, there are a lot of flights to Denver, so I'm not too worried about that. But Madison could be an issue as long as I get there.
Are you worried about the shuttle bus being canceled? Gas is really
No,
expensive.
I'm not. I'm not worried about the shuttle bus.
I might not be able to fill up.
I'll pay for it if they need it. Okay, I need to get there for this meeting because the TWIV is the first day of the meeting. So in both meetings, I'm doing a TWIV. Should be of interest to you folks. So ASV, we're doing a TWIV. Me, Kathy, Rich, and Brianne will be there. We have 2 guests. And then at Fort Collins, the BAT meeting, it will be Brianne and I with 2 guests. So should be fun TWIVs coming up for you folks to listen to. And so this kind of travel is what I did extensively before pandemic. In fact, in 2019, I went to 20 different places, multiple places a month. And
Where's your Twift World Tour T-shirt?
Yeah, I took it off to look properly buttoned down tonight, but I think it's online somewhere. Hey, Vanity, can you find it? Can you find
That
the?
was in Cafe Press.
It should be in Cafe Press, the World Tour T-shirt. Although there's another place I can find it. Let me just look quickly. Steampunk Phage, steampunkphage.com. There it is. So there's the mask T-shirt. Masks are cool. I don't know if you folks have seen that. Where is it? Oh, here it is. World Tour TWIV. I'll share my screen here. Oh, how cool is this? All right, here we go, folks. I did it. Screen share. Look at this. 2019 World Tour. So first of all, this is the front of the T-shirt. This was made by Steampunk Phage.
Sharon Isner, who's now
Sharon
at the
Isern.
NIH.
Thank you. Sharon Isern. So there is the front, which is pretty cool, right? And then 2019, look at this. All these places we went, from Iowa to Rotterdam to San Francisco, Stockholm, Copenhagen, Austin, Galveston, Germany, Singapore. And the last couple were in Singapore. Look at that. And that's me. That's Vinny schlepping around equipment by himself, setting it up, recording, breaking it down, bringing it back home, editing and posting. That's Vinny doing it all because I love it. What?
Wait a minute. Was ASV on there?
Yeah, his views on there. Yeah.
I believe I was the schlepper for ASV. If it's the year that I'm thinking that it was. ASV was either in Minnesota. It was the year I was the schlepper and I told a certain person not to touch anything.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. You were the schlepper that year. Thank you, schlepper. It was very good. Anyway, that is...
it's like
and I tell you, she makes...
going up Mount Everest.
So these are some of her designs, and I want to show you one more thing. So I asked her to make a masks are cool T-shirt, right? Some point in the pandemic. So she did this. That's the front. You can find that at Cafe Press. She's very talented. Okay. I don't know how we came to that, but here we go. Someone had a Hep C question. Here we go. Can you get Hep C from foods or drinks that are not FDA approved?
Oh.
No. You get Hep C by intravenous drug use, transfusions, or sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sexually transmitted. What makes developing a Hep C vaccine difficult compared to Hep A and B, Amy?
You should talk to Marion Major.
Well, she's not here. What can we say? Why is a Hep C vaccine difficult? You would think
it's not because if I remember correctly, it has to do with how long it takes to develop disease and stuff and detection of the virus. But she would know better.
Have people tried? Who is this that you're saying?
Marion Major.
I want to tell everyone tonight that Amy's just down to gin and tonic, folks.
Why did you tell people that? And no, I did not. But Marion Major, she's at the FDA. Her goal is to make a hepatitis C vaccine.
Oh, okay. And I'd love to have her on.
All right, she's really interesting.
How do you Marion Major? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me write it on my stickies.
That's the kiss of death.
What, the sticky?
Yeah, because it goes nowhere. You make all these stickies, you make all these lists, and then when I say to you, so did you do this? And you say, no. And I say, well, where's the sticky that was to remind you? You say to me, oh, I left it next to the computer when I was live streaming. It did never go into my bag.
Listen, I wrote here, invite Anne Ramoyne to you can't see it because it's not.
I can't see it. It's, okay. Whoa, it's way too close.
Invite Anne Ramoyne. And I did, but she didn't answer. She knows all about monkeypox. She didn't answer. Anyway, Amy, you shouldn't talk about stickies.
Is that the woman who is in Ghana with Daniel and the monkeypox with the kid?
No, it's not her. She's at UCLA. Anyway, Amy, don't talk about stickies because my desk, which was your office essentially, is covered with your stickies. Okay. Should I throw
Yeah,
them out?
and
Do you need them anymore?
no, I don't need them
All right.
anymore. And what is on those stickies? Random numbers. Do you want to know what those numbers are?
I can't read
They
them. What is
refer
that?
to they refer to references of papers that I read, and then I had to go find the reference and download the reference to read the primary literature. That's what it refers
Okay.
to.
I'll throw them out the next time I'm there. They cleaned out our lab on Monday. I don't know because I wasn't there, but they threw everything out.
That's fine. There was nothing of value left. Although I do have to say, I thought that certain things were in the boxes and we cannot find. So, like the heat sealer, I don't think got shipped.
No, I'm sorry. The heat sealer was there. I saw it
Yeah.
as I shut the door. Yeah.
And
I
the
sent you the
screwdriver,
bags. So the bags are little use without the heat sealer, right?
I'll have to buy a heat sealer. Although maybe I could use maybe somebody else has a heat sealer. The other thing is I can't find the screwdriver to the top of the S41 rotor buckets.
I don't think we shipped
And
it.
I know we didn't ship it.
I don't think we shipped it, no.
We didn't ship the screwdriver to the S41 buckets. I know we didn't ship the rotor, but the screwdriver we left behind.
Yeah, but I bet there's some in Saul's closet, and I don't think they emptied his closet, did they? Anyway, this is Inside Baseball. Let's move on. Are there viral components that are inherently toxic, like Botox? Are the toxic effects of proteins mainly due to the immune response? So this is a good question, something that we cover in my virology course. You know, bacteria have toxins, enterotoxin, for example, cholera toxin, diphtheria toxins, which have specific effects, but very few viruses do. And the one I always cite is an enterotoxin encoded in the rotavirus genome, which causes problems with water transport in the intestine and hence causes diarrhea. And if you make that protein, you can feed it to cows and they get diarrhea. So that's one of the toxins. Yes, Amy? Yes.
I was going to say, I think that you're a little bit hasty. I think there's a lot of actual viral toxins.
Oh, name another one.
Well, you have to define what it does.
A toxin is a protein that in itself. Let me define it. You asked me to define it. Let me define it. A toxin is something which on its own will have pathogenic effects on the host or the cell.
Seriously, 2A is therefore not a toxin?
Yeah. You tell me
Really?
what 2A does in people, yeah. If you give 2A to a mouse, what happens?
I don't know. We've never done that.
Happens.
I'm sure that there are other toxins. I don't believe that there's that the only toxin is to make a pore that releases water.
I think it's a toxin.
Because I can argue that anything that is an immune antagonist could be a toxin.
That's immune antagonist. I know what you're talking about.
No, it's an immune antagonist is a toxin.
Dr. Rosenfeld, I wrote the book. You cannot tell me that. I'm just kidding.
Okay, sure. Fine.
I'm just kidding.
Whatever.
But it's in the book. It's in the virology book.
Yeah, you also have R0 in the book.
Well, we're going to take it out because we decided it's bogus.
So the book is full. Right. So the book can have mistakes.
Okay. Oh, my God. Here's another question. We had dinner last night at Gramercy Tavern. Take Amy when she's in town. Okay. Next time you're in town, I'll take you to Gramercy. Have you been? I've never been to Gramercy Tavern. I've just heard of it. Have you?
I've never been to Gramercy. Yeah, of course I've heard of it. I've never been to Gramercy Tavern. It's really famous and it has a really famous pastry chef. Mm-hmm. I believe the pastry chef is Claudia Fleming, who's amazing. She's really talented.
Okay.
I have her book.
When you come into New York, you have to visit the Lipkin lab, right?
I do have to visit the Lipkin lab. I also have to come for incubator fundraiser, and I have to come at the end of September, most definitely for Rosh Hashanah.
All right. Well, we can go on the advice of Eleanor, we can go to Gramercy Tavern.
We'll fit it in some trip.
It's not too far from the incubator, right?
No, I think it's at Madison Square Park.
Okay. Is there any chance of a universal vaccine against SARS-CoV-2 being developed anytime soon? If so, what approach do you think would have the best chance of succeeding? So what is anytime soon? Like in a couple of years? Probably not. I've seen a lot of papers, and I see them because Amy sends them my way on, people working on universal vaccines. What are some of the approaches? Is one to use conserved parts of spike, Amy?
Yeah, didn't I just send you 2 of those in Science today? This
Today?
morning?
To me or Daniel?
Yeah, both. I think you
Da-
both were on the text. I think it was to the universal text of you and Daniel.
so here we go.
Good
ACE
to
2
know that
volume,
you
blah, blah.
check my taxes. I'm always feeling loved.
Broadly neutralizing antibodies target the fusion peptide. So fusion peptide is highly conserved, so that's another one. I don't know what would be the best approach. Don't worry, be happy. But I do think, how many years has Peter been working on universal flu vaccines, Amy?
I'd like not to discuss that.
Over 10 years,
I
right?
don't. Oh, by far.
So that's the thing. It's taken forever for flu. It's not easy. And, people said years ago, oh, we're going to have this in 5 years. So I would say 10 years for a universal coronavirus vaccine.
Well, I think flu is
Assuming,
far more complicated
yeah.
because NA can be antigenic, and you would have to incorporate NA epitopes also in a universal flu vaccine.
So let's follow up. No, don't worry, has a follow up here. I know there won't be a sterilizing vaccine. Could we develop one that did a better job of protecting against getting more than a very minor immune response?
No.
How? I don't know. I mean, we have fundamental immunology, right? And that you can't change that. So I don't see how, we have a memory response that takes a couple of days to kick in. So I don't know how you get around that. And if you try to do it, I'm afraid you hurt the host. Thank you. Christopher, thank you for your contribution to the incubator. BA 2.75 has recently been identified in Canada. Is it more highly contagious due to increased transmissibility, and is it vaccine evasive?
I have no idea what BA 2.75 is.
Yes, it's a
And I don't like
one.
the idea of anything that's more increased transmissibility because that's generally wrong. Sloppy science.
Let's take a look at 2.75.
Is it on covariance.org?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Oh, Tom is here.
Tom is, he's in Wisconsin tonight.
No, he says, okay, showing up late from Madison, Wisconsin. Good to be here. Greetings to all. Tom Steinberg.
Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, covariance doesn't allow you to readily, here's BA4, here's BA2, here's BA1, BA5, BA2.12.1. So I'm not getting information quickly. So here's what I would say, Chris. Omicron, BA1, 2, 4, 5, they're all less neutralized by antibodies produced by infection or vaccination. And that's where they are effective at moving through a population. So I wouldn't say they're more transmissible. I would say they are immune evasive, and that allows them to be greater fitness and displace previous variants. And so it may be that 2.75 has similar properties, but I don't know. I'm sure someone will tell us in the chat, though. Yeah, in India, what do we know about 2.75? Here's a headline: the super contagious Omicron. It says not just contagious anymore, Amy. It's super contagious, and it's worrying scientists. So, folks, do you see the
Wait a minute.
here?
Wait a minute. Super contagious.
Yes.
So is that like super transformed?
What does that mean, super transformed?
I don't know. So I don't understand what super contagious means. So the other thing is, I want to know why super contagious is the term. And maybe it should be like Wonder contagious, like Wonder Woman. Why is it always like a derivative of Superman?
So It has many
insipid.
it has many spike changes compared to the predecessors, so that's one reason why people could worry about
What
it.
predecessor? Omicron?
Yeah, Omicron, more than Omicron.
So how many more than Omicron? Since Omicron already had 30.
Yeah, I don't know.
So how
I don't
many
have the
more
number.
can you possibly have to bind that where you're no longer able to bind ACE2? There's
I
a
don't know.
finite number.
Yeah, but we have, it's a big protein, so we haven't reached it yet. And this is a quote from a Time magazine article. Listen, quote, "Some might say, well, vaccination and boosting hasn't prevented people from getting infected. And yes, that is true. But what we've seen is that the rates of people ending up in the hospital and dying have significantly decreased. As more people have been vaccinated, boosted, or naturally infected, we are starting to see the background levels of immunity worldwide creep up." So that's good. Yet the headline is super contagious Omicron mutant is worrying scientists. Well, here are two scientists here that are not worried. It's just another variant. And, all right, I'm going to go back to Paul Offit. What did he say? The only thing that I worry about is that a variant is going to emerge that will completely not be stopped by antibodies. And I didn't say it, but I'm thinking that would have to get around T-cell immunity, and that is not happening for a variety of reasons.
I'm thinking I'm thinking that that's getting around using ACE2 as the receptor, and therefore the virus is dead, and I don't give a shit.
So Amy's concern is that when you change
I have no concern. That's not a concern.
All right, what Amy is saying, is that okay? Can I say that?
Yeah, that's better.
What Amy is saying,
it's not a concern,
is that if the spike changes so much to completely evade antibodies produced by vaccination, then it's no longer going to be able to bind ACE2. Did I get that right?
So unless it automatically adapts to a new cell surface molecule to enter by, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Good luck. I'm thinking good riddance. That's the way I want to go.
Amy is not traveling because she needs to get her lab going, correct?
There are a variety of reasons, but I'm not going. But did you know we did our first experiment these last 10 days or 7 days? So we did 4 trays of plaque assays. Yeah. We ran the ultracentrifuge. We sent off antibodies. We did some neutralization. And we cleaned up. We're a very efficient lab of 3.
Yeah, it's bigger than your previous lab, right? Right?
At certain times, yes. Although Edmund and Michaela might take offense to that because they count. And that's the few times that we were a lab of 3.
By the way, I want to show you Amy's, well, actually, this is the creation of Vanity Nutrition. Vanity Nutrition. Let me first get this comment off.
My Plaque Assay Princess t-shirt?
Yeah. You see that there? Can you see it?
Yes, because I am the Plaque Assay Princess.
Yeah, so Amy's been calling herself the Plaque Assay Princess. So I said to Vanity Nutrition, please make a shirt. And there it is with the little crown. What do you think of that crown, Amy? Is that good?
It's good.
Does it work for you?
It does. I am the Plaque Assay Princess.
That's what you can get that at cafepress.com/twiv. Although I think only Amy is going to get it because she's the Plaque Assay Princess. But
other people can get it if they want to be the Plaque Assay Princess.
Yeah, it's good.
It. But yeah, the Plaque Assay Princess.
So you might go to ASV next year, right?
Where is it? Yeah, I'll probably go.
You mean to tell me that it depends where it is, that whether you will go or not?
No, I'm just being facetious.
Next year, 2023, it's in the University of Georgia.
I'm definitely going because I'm going to go stop and see Jonathan.
That's in Athens,
going. Definitely going because you fly into Atlanta. I'll go see my friend and his husband and Paula. Definitely.
And then the next year it's in Ohio, at Ohio State.
No, don't care.
Then the next year, 2025, it's in Montreal. You'll probably want to go
Oh
to
yeah,
that.
we'll go to Montreal. We'll
And
go
then in
visit my
2026, it's in
husband.
Minnesota. And I think if you go, we should go back to that Italian restaurant, that awesome Italian restaurant. Remember?
Yeah, we can go. Sure. But I
Okay.
gotta go see the Montreal husband, and I gotta go see the college roommate in Georgia. So I'll be at ASV for a day, and then I'll be in Atlanta with my roommate and
No,
his
you can't
husband.
be in ASV for a day. You need to go for the whole meeting, young lady. Come on. Didn't I teach you
Fine.
anything?
Yeah, you did. But I was trying to, get away with some stuff.
All right. Jeff says, "'Tis true that multiple infections have higher cumulative risk of severe illness or death." So that's the conclusion of a study out of the VA hospital system, right? Which Daniel discussed, I think 2 episodes ago, or maybe last. That you get certain issues with the first infection, and then with the second, you get more. And so this would include heart issues and cardiovascular and neurological and so forth, gastrointestinal. I don't know how broadly applicable it is because the VA is a specific population of people, right? Veterans Administration. It's not the general population. And even though the numbers were
Really, what
huge,
makes them different than the general population? Because they were in the Army or the Navy or the Marines or the U.S. or the Air Force. That's what makes them different.
yeah, that's one thing. And they may have been
Well, that's
exposed
just
to.
an occupation. So,
No, but it's dangerous. They may be exposed to dangerous things, but also the age tends to be skewed, and the sex,
well, the
is
American
skewed.
population is skewed.
Anyway, there was a critique in Nature a couple of weeks ago where they said, don't be fooled just because there are millions of people in this study. It doesn't mean it's representative. Just because the numbers are big doesn't mean it's representative. So, Jeff, anyway, yeah, that was the conclusion of this paper. But I'm not sure how generally applicable it is. I don't know what the frequency is in the general population.
So Richard is here, and he said he met a traveler who worked at the Mayo Clinic and did plaque assays.
Who's
But
Richard?
he
Which
is
Richard?
Richard, the one who has supplied all of my lighting.
Oh, sorry. Okay. And sorry, what did he say?
He said he met someone who at the Mayo who's done a variety of plaque assays. But really, it's the first time. It's the first time in a while that I've seen him here at the live stream, and we should, I want to thank him for both sets of lights. I've just been traveling, and then it was too dramatic after my study section review for me to get it all together today.
His chance of original antigenic sin primarily controlled by the virus, the genetics of the host, age at first infection, or a combination of the above.
Combination of the
I think
above.
it's a combination. Yeah, I don't think we actually understand. I liked Offit's example of the papillomavirus vaccine. Right? He said, when you vaccinate with certain serotypes and then you expand the serotypes, you have trouble getting beyond those original serotypes that you were vaccinated against because of OAS. And I think it's funny that he called it imprinting, immunological imprinting.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Tom Francis called it original antigenic sin in office. And I don't know if he was Catholic or not, but that's what he called it. You know what original sin is, Amy?
It's that giving of the apple from the tree from Eve, right? It's the eating of the tree. I mean, come on, you're Roman Catholic. You went to all of this crap, so you should know about this more than I do.
Do I look Roman Catholic?
Racaniello, how much more Catholic could you possibly be?
I was a kid. I went to what do you call that school? Catholic school? No, that's not what it is. Sunday school. And they taught us this stuff. Original sin, is you bear the sins of Adam and Eve, right? But there's no Adam and Eve.
Isn't that why you need to be? Wait, isn't that why you need to be baptized? Is because she was told by the snake, she was told by God not to take the apple from the tree of knowledge, and then the snake tempted her and she gave it to Adam. So isn't that why Amy, you get baptized?
There's no Adam and Eve, okay? So
I understand that, but isn't that the whole story?
Yeah, that's the whole story. So there's original sin, and then there's another kind that I've forgotten, like everyday sin that we do. That doesn't
How
it
is that
doesn't rate.
original sin? I don't understand how that's original sin then.
Yeah, because the two schmigeggies who
Okay,
supposedly
look.
give rise to everybody, which is totally baloney, had made that sin, so
Okay,
it's
right then
original.
and there, you're making my head hurt.
Okay, let's go
I'm
on.
Jewish, for Pete's sake.
It's July now. What have we learned new about SARS-CoV-2 since July 2021 that surprised you? Oh my God, Pete, you're making us work hard here. Then you want to know the previous years. Every time I answer these questions, Amy says no. So I'm not answering them. You answer them. She says,
I'm
no,
not
that's not
answering them.
correct.
Because I haven't really learned that much.
Amy will tell you we haven't learned any new principles, which cannot be true.
That
We've
is true.
poured billions of dollars into this, Amy.
So what? We poured
All right,
billions of
can
dollars.
I tell Pete?
Wait a minute. We poured billions of dollars as the army into toilets. What if you learned new that you could have a whole warehouse of
That's right.
toilets?
All right, look.
I mean, seriously.
Can I answer this and without you criticizing me for being wrong? Okay.
You can have your opinion. That's fine.
All right. Well, that's what it is. So first of all, I'm not going to put it by year as you have requested because I'm answering the question, so I can answer it any way I want. As
Be my
people tell me, it's your class, professor. You can do what you want. Okay. So first, antigenic variation in coronaviruses. That surprised me because we never looked for it before, so we didn't think it happened. But early in the pandemic, it was looked at in a common cold corona, and we found it. And now, of course, we see that SARS-CoV-2 undergoes antigenic variation. That's a big surprise to me. And so the constant changing of variants is amazing. It shouldn't be surprising because so many people are infected, right? And so that's a driver for mutation and variation. But that's the one thing that surprised me above all because everything else is really fundamental science, right? The fact that immunity works the way it does and so forth. Is there anything that you would say you were surprised at, Amy?
No.
Nothing at all. Okay.
Nothing at all except human stupidity and arrogance, leading the pack of significant people who are on Twitter.
Dr. Sette, Alessandro Sette, retweeted a study from Qatar that indicated that protection from severe disease is over 90% after natural infection, similar to vaccine. Did Amy say, you think? That's what you've always been saying, Amy, right?
Yeah. And I've been criticized for it.
Hey,
but it's fine.
It's
goes
fine. With the territory.
Look, as you were surprised about antigenic drift, and I thought, well, duh. Just because your assay is insensitive enough to detect it,
you were going to give it to me. You were going to give it to me. Now you're reneging.
Right. No, I'm not reneging.
It's so difficult to have this discussion with.
No, it's not difficult.
No, whenever someone asks, what are you surprised about? That's what I'm talking about.
That's fine. It's fine that you were surprised, and I was not surprised at all. Mm-hmm. Whatever your reaction you have is fine. It doesn't have to be the same as mine, and mine does not have to be the same as yours because there's differences. So,
for sure.
Okay. So certain things come intuitively easy to me. They're not always intuitively easy to others.
Like what?
Biology, understanding biology, chemistry, and physics came intuitively easy to me. Now, whether or not and some logic comes very easy to me. So whether or not I developed an assay to understand this phenotype is irrelevant to whether or not the phenotype actually occurs, right? And you trained me that you should plug your system into something that you know about and then ask where differences exist, right? So by definition, the 3 serotypes of polio, the multiple serotypes of the 160 serotypes of rhino all define antigenic drift. So unless you did an experiment that demonstrated that something didn't undergo antigenic drift, I saw no reason to believe that it didn't undergo antigenic drift. My default position was it underwent antigenic drift.
Now you're negating my position, Dr. Rosenfeld.
No,
you said
I'm
you
not
wouldn't do that. Yeah, you
negating
did. You are.
I'm not negating your position whatsoever.
All right, let's move on. This is not interesting. Thank you, Sasha, for your contribution. Is BA5 really that dangerous even for the vaccine? No, for the same reason BA4 was not, and BA275 likely will not be, and BA1 and 2 were not. The vaccines still protect. With 3 doses in most people, they still protect against severe disease and death. And remember, hospitalization is not a good metric for measuring severity, as Paul Offit agreed on the TWIV. The vaccines are still doing well, except in certain people. And what did he call them? The old. And
Dixon raised his hand.
Dixon raised his hand. The old. That's right. So no, BA5 is not that dangerous. No, it is just very able to move through a population because it's immune evasive. Yep. Okay, here we go. Amy, we could be cousins. My great-grandmother was a Rosenfeld. You could be. Why don't you guys chat? How many Rosenfelds are there, Amy? Not too many?
I have no idea. But isn't Marty the one who also told us last week about the shoe museum in Toronto?
You have good memory. In addition to knowing science well, you have a good memory. That's good.
So we could be cousins because we have a fascination by shoes. Just by definition, therefore, we're cousins. I've been adopted all of these years, Vincent. What do you think about that?
Thank you, Kent. Right. You would like to be, actually. Thank you, Kent, for your contribution to the incubator. Oh, my gosh. Are you worried that Dr. Campbell said BA5 is causing severe disease? Yes, I'm very worried that he said that because he's not thinking clearly. You know, he's a dear friend of Dixon. My wife worked with him.
Really? Dixon knows John Campbell in the UK? Since when?
Oh, that's the UK guy. I thought it was the Campbell of ivermectin fame. What am I thinking of?
I didn't know that was John Campbell.
Oh, it's not John Campbell. Which Campbell did ivermectin? Oh, gee, I'm so sorry.
I don't know, but I don't think it's John Campbell. But I think this is the nurse guy on YouTube.
William Campbell. Yeah, this is the nurse guy. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, so why would you say that he's a good friend of Dixon's? Dixon usually has really good taste.
I got the wrong Campbell. I'm sorry. My apologies. I'm really sorry. No, Campbell is always... He's not a virologist, folks. He's always saying this crap.
He's the nurse guy.
It's not causing more severe disease. Yeah, you can find someone who probably died of it somewhere, just like every other variant of concern. Oh, this is our friend Alice from Ireland. So, Amy, sorry you're upset about something, but here you are again. Vincent, hope you have a good trip. Yes, Amy's here despite her chagrin tonight, and that's because she loves every one of you, right?
Yeah, but why am I embarrassed?
I'm embarrassed. Who said you're embarrassed?
Chagrin is a synonym for embarrassment.
No, it's
I'm
not.
Embarrassed.
It's not.
I think it is.
No.
I thought it was. That's what I thought. Okay. Well, then I don't know anything about vocabulary.
Distress or embarrassment at having been failed or been humiliated.
What did I just say?
Damn you, Dr. Rosenfeld. Damn you and the torpedoes or whatever that saying is. I look it up and she's right.
Wait a minute. Isn't that for Macbeth? Damn you, damn spot? Isn't that Macbeth?
I'm not going to say it because it's not my field and you're probably right. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Hans. Offit's definition of pandemic. This is good that you bring this up. What changes the way you live, work, or play? that it'll end when we decide, mean that calling it a pandemic's at an individual and not public health level. No, what he meant by we was, collective public health organizations. It's not an individual. Although you could decide it's over for you, and that would be fine, but the WHO would still call it a pandemic. They're not going to listen to Paul Offit in Avalon, New Jersey, right? I think that's what he meant. What do you think, Dr. Rosenfeld?
He has a summer house in Avalon, New Jersey, that he's not invited us?
Oh, he lives in Avalon. That's near Philadelphia, near Camden, right?
I don't know.
You're thinking of Avalon by the sea, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
or
it's
maybe
in Cape
that's
May.
Avon.
Maybe you're
or
right.
maybe that's Avon by the sea.
Oh, Avalon is near Cape May. Holy crap. Does he live there? That's pretty darn far from
No, I think that has to be a summer house because he talked about having season tickets to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I can't see him driving 2 hours to go to a football game. I think he's in Phil. I think he has a residence in Philadelphia, and this is like their beach house.
No, it's not a beach house. He's always there when he does any pod. Just, he was there for all the ones he did with us, with Z-Dogs and all that. Oh, I didn't realize it's pretty far away because it's in Cape May. Oh, my gosh. Anyway.
Well, what I want to know is how come we're not invited to the beach by the Offits then?
He's not our friends, right? He's our colleague. He's our colleague.
Sure, call it what you want.
What's the most difficult part of being a virologist? Being wrong all the time when I talk to Amy. I don't like being wrong all the time. I've been working with Amy for 20 friggin' years, folks. It's the most difficult part of being a virologist so an academic virologist is raising the money you need to do your research because you have to beg for it. And the NIH is getting extremely stingy, and they're giving it to bigger labs, and smaller labs have a hard time, and their review system sucks, frankly. That's the hardest part. And everything else is great. To be able to do your experiments and train people to do experiments is great. But begging for money sucks. And now that I'm doing science communication, I'm kind of doing the same thing, but I don't beg, I ask, and people give, and I like that. I told someone the other day, it's actually more gratifying to raise money for Microbe TV than it was to get grants from the NIH. It was always so bloody difficult. You ask people, they either give you money or they don't. They don't say, you don't have a private office, therefore we can't give you the money.
No, therefore you're not a good scientist.
For you, Amy,
do you know how many shitty scientists have private offices?
Yeah, I know.
Let's not 95%.
Let's not get into that. Amy, what's the most difficult part of being a virologist for you?
Definitely grant reviews.
Yeah. All right, here's a question.
If they argued scientific rationale, that would be one thing, but they don't.
Yeah. Amy, what sect of Judaism do you originate from? I'm Ashkenazi.
I'm Ashkenazi. 90% of the world is Ashkenazi. More than 95% of the world is Ashkenazi. 5% is Sephardic. It's because of the Spanish Inquisition.
It was a reviewer for NIH who used the wrong name, right?
Yeah. It's not the first reviewer who's called me the wrong name, who couldn't be bothered getting my last name right.
Yeah, I find it offensive to misspell people's names, especially when it's on the bloody grant in front of you, okay?
It's not just a misspelling. It's, Racaniello can be a misspelling. They could put an RACNI, blah, blah, blah. This is a completely different name. So this person called me Goldberg, and before I think I was Bloomfeld? Yeah, I think I was Bloomfeld on another review. It's like, I should just write to the program officer and say, if you can't be bothered knowing who I am, then you should just give me the money. fucking ridiculous.
Fauci questioned about vaccines not preventing infection. Public don't listen to Q&A, now just learning this. How do we improve messaging on this subject and prevent further vaccine hesitation?
Wait, what does this mean that Fauci questioned about vaccines not preventing
I don't know,
vaccine?
but I get his drift, okay?
What is his drift?
He said he's learned from us that vaccines don't prevent infection. He didn't know it before. Much of the public doesn't know that.
Well, then
how do
he
we
should
message?
resign.
What? Fauci
You
needs
heard
to
me.
resign? That's not the issue here, Amy. The issue is how do we get this messaging across? Not just vaccines don't prevent infection, but every other fundamental in science.
But then you should think prudently before you say anything.
Well, that's hard to
You
ask of
didn't
people.
think it through. You
Yeah.
didn't take the time to research and think it through.
Let's not pick on Fauci, please.
I'm not picking on him. I'm not
Okay.
picking on him. I'm saying in general, the scientific community opened its mouth and didn't think it through, because it's not just him who has said something, who has questioned about vaccines not preventing infection. Daniel said it last week at the very beginning of the pandemic. Akiko had an editorial in the New York Times saying how we needed to develop a vaccine against infection. You did not bother to read and process the knowledge about vaccines that we've already developed.
Yeah. Good luck
So
developing a vaccine that blocks
right.
infection.
So it is
Good luck.
not about him particularly. It is about the scientific virology community did not sit down and think it through and take the time to research before they opened and started tweeting.
All right. So that's one issue. But the other issue is, so what you're saying is that scientists are driving the misinformation, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I agree with that.
Where do you think the media gets it from? Creative literature class?
That's a
No,
TikTok.
I'm serious.
That's a
Where
TikTok.
do they get it? Where do they get it from? They get it from contacting the scientist who is all about, oh, I could be cute on social media. I could do this. Oh, I could morph my social media presence into getting a job. We do know somebody who's done that.
Amy, how do we fix this aside from telling people to think prudently, which I'm not going to do? Can a communicating
What do you
company
mean
like
you're not going to
Microbe TV, because I'm not talking to Dr. Fauci and telling him what to say or not to say, but what can we use how can we use Microbe TV to do this?
So have a bigger presence. Be on TikTok. Go on ZDoggMD. Go on all the podcasts that you're opposed to. Go on Fox News and say it to them. All the people that you've turned down, you've said, oh, I don't like their politics, so I'm not going to go on. Go on their podcast and correct their knowledge.
Who did I turn down? I never got invited.
Fox News. Yes, you did at the very
Joe
beginning
Rogan.
of the pandemic. I don't give a shit about Joe Rogan. At the very beginning of the pandemic, you said you would not go on Fox. Fox News invited you, and you said no, because I don't agree with your politics.
Well, I actually didn't tell them that. I just had a scheduling conflict. But Amy, you didn't insist very hard.
I knew where to choose my battles, Vincent. I'm not a complete moron.
Okay. Hello, Animal Party. A little levity.
Yeah.
Okay, Portia, can you explain? Oh, nice camera you have there. Wow, cool.
That's a big lens, right? It's a telephoto
big body.
lens.
Looks like it's got some kind of gimbal on it. Anyway, can you explain a little bit how virus can be used as a delivery agent? This name is very familiar to me. I'm not sure why.
Portia?
Portia Shao,
Isn't
the whole
it?
name.
Oh, isn't Portia from Shakespeare? Like Hamlet? Isn't Portia in Hamlet?
Doctor, if you say so.
I don't know. I'm not a Shakespearean expert, but I think Portia's from Hamlet
So
or something.
you can modify viral genomes to carry other genes very readily. And so you can, if someone is missing a beta globin or has an altered beta globin, you want to supply them with the right gene, you can put the gene in a virus, make the virus and deliver it. Now, of course, you don't want the virus to make them sick, so you can pick your virus or modify it in ways that don't make people sick. But for example, let's see, there's some, and there are common vectors that are used, adeno-associated virus vectors, retrovirus vectors. There's a virus now that will treat blindness, a form of blindness caused by having one of the genes in the retina whose protein is in the retina defective. And so there's a whole field of gene therapy that's arisen. And in fact, the last lecture in my virology course is devoted to that. We can also modify viruses to cure cancers or to attack cancers. CAR T-cell therapy, you deliver the chimeric antigen receptor to cells with a lentivirus vector. And of course, you can make vaccines out of viruses, right? We have adenoviruses that are carrying SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. And all this is possible because of recombinant DNA, the ability to modify DNA with restriction enzymes and so forth, and use it to generate viruses. So really exciting field. Anything to add, Dr. Rosenfeld?
No, I'm good.
When do you think we will be able to regard COVID-19 as something like a cold or the flu and not worry about long COVID and severe disease? Even if vaccinated, I don't feel like catching COVID. That's what Daniel has said. He said, I don't want any kind of COVID. When? I don't know. I think it could take a long time. Amy, when will it be a common cold?
I don't know, but I think the idea of I don't want any kind of COVID is naive. And it's not clear to me that there are very good studies demonstrating or profiling the amount of long COVID that is associated with COVID, with a SARS-CoV-2 infection following vaccination. And so I think that when you are in a position of power to say that I don't want any COVID, and then you come back with, eventually we can enter life without wearing a mask or whatever. Like, we need to get on with our life is a bit hypocritical.
So Susan Weiss, Poloff quoted Susan Weiss in a recent talk. She said, one of the common cold coronas emerged before 1900. And who knows, it could have been pathogenic back then, and now it's not. So maybe it takes a long time. Maybe it takes 100 years. Maybe it takes 50 years.
Yeah, but then one of the common coronaviruses emerge in like 1960? Or is that the date that we identified it?
I think that's when we identified it, yeah. So it's a good question, Conrad. We think about it a lot, but no answer.
So Portia, I was wrong. It's not from Hamlet. It's from The Merchant of Venice, another Shakespearean play. At least I got the playwriter right.
Portia see, our audience knows this stuff. It's great.
It is.
Beth, thank you for your contribution to science communication, hoping that we can spread the information a little more than we do. Or you have to up the pimp game, Amy. You have to pimp me some more. You have to pimp me some more.
Okay, where do you want to go? I've been pushing you out there. Where do you want to go? I've been pushing you to Z-Dog. And who was the other person who wrote to you about being on their podcast last week? Also, after Slavit wrote, or on the same day that Slavit's publicity person wrote, somebody else wrote for you to be on their podcast.
But one approach is for me to get them on my podcast, right? And then a lot of
but I'm not a PR
listen.
person. I'm not gonna write. I'm not going to write solicitous emails. I have a lab to run. So when they contact you and they say, I want Andy Slavitt on Twiv, and we say yes, then his PR people need to follow up. It's not, otherwise his PR people suck, and he should fire them and get new ones. And Slavitt, maybe, or maybe Andy should take an initiative and listen to Twiv and write in and say, I've been listening to Twiv for the last 3 weeks. I'll even give him like a non-long listening period and say, I'm really impressed with your scientific reach. I'd love to be on and discuss my expertise as a science policy director versus the actual science.
Oh,
It's up to him.
that would have him listen, but he's not going to listen because it's too hard for
Why?
him.
He gets in the car, or he exercises. He talks all the time about how he was a
Well, Amy, he's probably
couch
not
potato.
really interested in the science in the end. He's just interested in the fame he's getting from his podcast.
He's got enough money and fame for being in Biden and Obama's administration. He doesn't need any more fame from us.
Oh, you can never have enough fame, Dr. Rosenfeld. Did you know?
Really?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was like being transformed. You can't be more transformed. So you have fame or you
That's
don't
brilliant.
have fame.
That's
It's not
brilliant.
like more fame.
More transformed. With all your experience and years doing this, is there anything recently that you discovered, experienced that shocked you regarding virology or immunology?
Didn't we just answer this question?
I think it
and
shocked
got
us
yelled
that
at?
people don't realize that immune responses contract and vaccines don't prevent infection. I thought it's in the textbooks, folks. Why do the headlines say otherwise? Right? Remember that letter that I showed where it says vaccines are failing, COVID vaccines are failing? It's just as an example of that. That was shocking.
Yeah,
to
I'm
me.
just wondering what chapter you, Glenn, Jane, and Anne, and Theodore actually wrote that vaccines protect against infection. I know you have a vaccine chapter, but I don't remember ever the statement in the chapter that says, no vaccine have we ever developed protects against infection.
No,
Period.
you're right.
Explanation.
It's not
point.
there. You're absolutely right, but it's going to be in the next one because there's enough confusion.
For sure, it's going to be in the next one because I'm a silent writer, and if you think I'm going to let you not put it in the next one, you're like crazy. If you think I'm a bitch now, you haven't seen anything yet when that book comes out.
Hey, at least tells you, Amy, you have to file an outside activity form now to pimp Vincent out because you're working for the government. You can't do it anymore.
Sure.
That's great.
I think that my boss will be very happy for me to fill out that outside activity form and list that my activity is pimping out the TWIV owner. I think he would. I think he listens enough that he would be appreciative of that. Don't you?
Yes. Okay. Neil says, going to Australia and Bali, would getting a fourth shot prevent infection and mild disease, against current variants? For 3 to 4 to 5 months, yeah, because you have high antibody levels from the boost. So you
4
better time
months?
It. No good?
4 months is 16 weeks, way too long. I give him 2 months.
Okay, so time
Get
it
your
properly,
shot
Neil.
and go within 2 months. 8
Okay.
weeks. I think Offit would give him 6.
Science the world over will suffer from coming recessions, right? Will it affect responses to the next wave of COVID?
Not to the next wave, but it will affect the next pandemic response for sure.
There are going to be coming recessions, Amy?
Have you seen the inflation rate? You know, it topped over 9% in June.
Why is this? Because of oil being in short supply?
It's not just oil. It's various things.
Supply chains? Well, I better talk to Andy Slavic because I don't know any of that stuff.
I'm not sure he's an economist. I don't believe he has an MBA. I believe maybe he does. I know he went to grad school, but I don't know what it's in. I don't remember. But maybe he is an MBA.
I noticed Paul Offit mentioned the variant from the original strain like Omicron, more contagious or evasive. Is this different from saying that they're more fit? No, that's what we mean by more fit. Evasive is what makes Omicron spread very well. And, for
more fit is an umbrella. Invasive is a mechanism.
Exactly. How come people on Twitter claim BA5 has an R, and I can imagine what the rest was? Because people on Twitter don't know, okay? They just say things to get attention because they love it when people say, oh my gosh, and retweet it. And forget it. Forget Twitter. Stay out. I left years ago. I was the first scientist on Twitter, one of the first, and I promoted it. I think this is great. I wouldn't spend any time there. I put my pods on and leave because it's a sewer. I don't need people telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. What do they know? Anyway, don't believe what you hear.
I'm not even really there. I think I've sent like 30 tweets, and I think I've sent 32 tweets, and 30 of them have been retweets of tweets that you've put out. Right? And yet I'm still attacked. So how do you explain that one?
How many followers you have, Amy? 6 million?
No, I have like 1,300. It's like, who cares what I think?
You could put your shoes on. They would like that.
No, I'm not putting my shoes on. My shoes have feelings too. No.
All right.
I would not understand them.
Dan put shade on an MD that did not give Paxlovid because the patient wasn't very sick yet. That's correct. But Paul Offit said he didn't take Paxlovid because his case was mild. Which would you follow? So, Daniels, you can't say so. So Paul is Paul my age, Amy?
Yeah.
He's in the age group where
might be a little older. Maybe like he might be 72. I forgot.
You know, he's an MD, so he can take care of himself. But he decided that he didn't warrant it. But yes, if you wait till it gets severe, then it's too late. So that's a tough call, Frank, right? So Daniel would opt to treat. There's no harm to treat. And even if it weren't going to be a severe infection, at least you're covered, right?
But what I liked about Paul's story is he didn't say how his wife got it. He didn't say, and then I passed it on to my wife.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which suggests that and he said how he's been vaccinated, which would suggest, although it's anecdotal, it would suggest that vaccines prevent some transmission because you're not shedding a lot.
Yeah, it's anecdotal, though. You're right.
Yes, but did you notice how he didn't say anything about how, and then following my wife got COVID also?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. The whole conversation about new boosters has been a waste because of mixing up infection and disease severity. Yes, absolutely. You got it, Elise. You're absolutely right. You're more powerful than Z-Dog. Well, he has more followers. He makes much more money, but that's fine because I have you folks.
Wait, money has to do with ads, and he has a following because he's a stand-up comedian. You find me a stand-up comedian on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube who doesn't have a huge following. Even Johnny Carson, who's been dead, has a huge following.
I'm not worried about it. Z-Dog does his thing, and it's fine. He looks at the camera all the time. I'm trying tonight to do that. Don't listen to others. You got this, and we've got your back. Yeah, all right. Thank you. I got this. We Amy and I have this. This is great. 550 people, and we love it. And we're grateful that you come and spread the information. And hit the like button, folks. 553 of you, 253 likes. It's real easy to hit the like button. Ian says, in the winter hemispheres, masks are re-recommended, plus booster 4 and are antivirals for everyone older than 70, 50 plus with 2 comorbidities, and 30 plus for indigenous people with comorbidity. Wow, they have it really lined up there, don't they, Amy?
Apparently.
As Paul said, you have to take care of the people who are at risk. And Paul Offit doesn't think he's one of those people. Eric Topol said that BA5 is the worst variant so far. When will the so far thing finally stop? So much BS. I imagine the number of people who ended up dying of stress due to this kind of mess. I don't know, Raphael. I don't understand what Eric, and Eric, of course, is the cardiologist I have alluded to for a long time.
Well, not anymore.
But it is not the worst so far. I don't know where he's getting this information, but I must tell you, his Twitter following goes up, so he loves it. What the hell?
Well, Twitter following and being truthful are not the same thing. Look at Elon Musk. Look at Trump. Look at various other people.
Quebec says their COVID deaths are greater now in 22 than all of 21 due to BA5. This is wrong. Something's wrong there. Does that make sense to you, Amy?
It does if when they counted the deaths prior to 2022, that the definition that they didn't always write down on the death certificate died of COVID versus died of heart attack, died of pneumonia, died of something else, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, we've changed our policy about how we count deaths because one way insurance companies under a certain president didn't get, or whatever, they didn't get reimbursed or whatever. Right. I mean, you can talk to Daniel about it, but I believe that is correct. Before if somebody died of a heart attack, you wrote that they died of a heart attack, and it might have been SARS-CoV-2 induced, but you didn't say anything about them being SARS-CoV-2 and positive. So it's possible that we're being more honest at this point. I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
This is an example of why you cannot just take a statistic out of one place and say, BA5 is more dangerous. This is the most dangerous. And maybe this is what Topol is talking about. He doesn't understand that you can't take Quebec's data and apply it to the world. I mean,
Well, it's not just you can't take Quebec's data. You can't take last year's data because the definition and the way you reported case. And I think Daniel actually said on one of the TWIVs, like last year or at the end of 2020, that there were many deaths that were reported that were SARS-CoV-2 related, but not reported as SARS-CoV-2 related because you could say they died of pneumonia. Or they died of pneumonia of unknown cause, where you clearly knew what the cause was, but the hospital or something wanted to be reimbursed. I forget exactly. You have to ask Daniel, and I'm not the best at finagling and understanding how insurance companies work.
Here we are, Amy. Here are our farms from San Francisco.
Oh,
Kip and
Laura.
Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, we were just discussing how I haven't seen them in a few weeks.
Amy, by all measures, you're a science warhead. Keep being Amy.
I don't know what a warhead is.
Well, you know what a warhead it's the part of the bomb that blows up, right?
Oh, that's the warhead?
Yeah, the warhead is the blow up part. The rest of the bomb is for propulsion and aerodynamics, right?
I don't know. I know nothing about bombs.
I don't either, but it's common sense.
Okay, fine.
The fifth grader would know this.
Really? So you're saying that I have less common sense than a fifth grader now?
Ah, mud on. Let's move on. Here's Richard. Thank you, Richard, for your contribution. Polly Matzinger, an immunologist known for her ghost lab, published solo papers, but added her dog's name for added credibility.
That's great. If I only had a dog, maybe I could add Gordo.
Or you could add the cat that showed up on your balcony a couple of weeks ago, right?
Libby cat.
Do you know the name of it?
Well, the woman is Libby who lives upstairs, and it was her cat that somehow jumped down. But I think I should have family loyalty and put Gordo Rosenfeld on first.
Actually, Amy puts my name on, and then it looks like she has a big lab. And Ian Lipkin and Niche and other people, right?
I do.
Let me see I don't quite get this. We can only view you through the lens of entertainment, YouTube, TV, podcast, regardless if the content is supposed to not prioritize entertainment, such as good educational content. I don't think that's correct. You don't view me as entertainment or us. We're purely educational.
I am very entertaining. Apparently, I am very humorous and very entertaining.
Okay. I'm not doubting that, but that's not... I don't understand Bob saying, and folks here, what do you think? Is this true that we can only be viewed because we're on YouTube? through the lens of entertainment. I don't think that's true. There's plenty of educational
Wait, is
content
it
on YouTube.
because we're only on YouTube, or do we fall under the entertainment category on YouTube?
No, I put everything under science category, science and technology. You have a choice when you post a video to do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the default, interestingly, is entertainment. Whenever I post, the damn default is entertainment, which pisses me off.
Well, what
So
do you
I have to
want the
change.
default to be?
For me, I want it to be science. I wish I could change my default permanently, right? To be science and technology, because that's what I post. It
Well, I
never
understand that,
is never in the entertainment category. Okay, are X-rays harmful to the immune system, considering the bone absorbs the radiation and red blood cells, platelets, white blood cells, and lymphocytes are produced in the bone marrow? Well, that has
I
a lot of...
believe that is why when I was a kid and I went through a lot of orthodonture, they put the lead blanket over me, was because X-rays were harmful to all of my organs, including the immune system.
Yeah, the bone marrow is the source of all the blood cells, the Touge 410 says, and they're rapidly proliferating, and so they're particularly susceptible to X-rays. So that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I wore the lead blanket for many, many years. It's very heavy.
Would love to hear Amy's thoughts on Paul Offit's definition of a pandemic.
So it has to affect the way you work and play.
What did he say? We had a comment on it before. I think so. Here, can I find it? There's a search function here. Pandemic. Let's search for pandemic. Let's see if this works. Okay, what changes the way you live? Here it is. What changes the way you live, work, or play? All right, that's his definition. What changes the way you live, work, or play? So,
Wait a minute.
what do you think about that?
So anything that makes you ill changes the work you live and play. So then anything can be a pandemic. So is there a temporal? So does it have to change the way you work, live, and play for a significant portion of time? Because when you're homesick with the flu, you've changed the way you've worked, lived, and played. When you're homesick with a rhinovirus or E. coli infection, you've changed the way you've lived, worked, and play. But it's for, maybe 10 days max. Okay. So is that, well, I just want to know, I don't know how to interpret that. So is it for a global population, or is it for you personally, and is it for some kind of duration, or is it acute?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. That's all he said.
I know, but you all agreed that it was a fabulous definition.
I liked it. I thought it made, on a large scale. Right? I mean, this has to happen on a large scale. It's not just you and me.
But that's not what it's in the. But that's not what's in the definition. It says,
don't argue with me. Argue with him. I liked it. I think it was good, and.
Well, why do you think it was good?
And I also think it was good in the same way that the definition, it affects everyone without infecting everyone.
But then everything is a pandemic.
No.
Yeah, everything is a pandemic.
Everything doesn't affect everyone.
Yes, it does.
Okay, we're not going to agree on this. How about this one? Anyway, you haven't told your thoughts. I guess you have. You don't like that definition.
Well, I
don't.
Right? It's not that I don't like it. I just don't understand it.
All right. What is your definition of a pandemic?
In order to understand it, in order to like something, I need to understand it.
No. Comment on it. You don't have to like it. Just comment on it. And you don't understand it. That's your comment, right?
Yeah, I don't understand it because I don't know what it means. So,
what's your definition? Do you have one, Amy?
It's a work in progress. But I think if you want to say that it affects, I think it has to affect a significant population. Mm-hmm. I think it has to alter the life it has to alter a significant population's either lifestyle or health or something. I'm not sure what that portion of the definition is, but I think it has to alter a significant population for a significant period of time. So I think that rhinovirus is classified as a pandemic because over a general population, it alters a significant percentage of people, whether or not they're able to go to work and their kids are able to go to school. I don't think it has to be lethal. I think that the common cold, I think, like if we wanted to say, like when you say, oh, I have a stomach, or you hear, oh, the stomach flu is going around, right? That is not a pandemic because it's very short, although a significant percentage of the population is probably infected in that region, right? You hear people say, oh, the stomach flu is going around because lots of people have gastroenteritis, right?
I don't know what the definition is.
To say that to argue that the HIV pandemic was a pandemic because it impacted me economically because my lab didn't get grants. Well, there's lots of things that therefore impact you economically. So Zika impacted a lot of people economically. They didn't get grants as easily because there was a selective pot of money for people to go for after Zika, right?
Yeah.
But nobody would say that it was a pandemic because it didn't affect a significant portion of the world, right? It really infected the tropical regions. So why isn't Zika considered a pandemic?
Didn't affect enough people.
So
Affect.
right there, you're right, but in reality, affected everyone. People didn't travel. They were scared when they traveled. So it did affect everyone.
I don't know that that's the best definition. I'm just saying I kind of liked it, but on further discussion, we can refine it.
Right. I'm just saying that.
As you say, it's a work in progress, right?
Right. It's a work in progress. And I'm not saying that my definition is correct, but I think it's closer to what we want to say a pandemic is than something that affects the way you work, live, and play, because everything affects the work you live and play. So is the increase in gas a pandemic? The increase in gas cost a pandemic?
Well, one can talk about financial problems as pandemics, no?
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
I mean, the word is related to epidemic, right? So you can have an epidemic of poverty, of fear, of many things.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be infectious
disease.
disease. And pan just means it's global. That's it.
Right. Which always struck me funny, as there's a 2019 article that's called the AFM World Epidemic or Global Epidemic. Why is it not considered a pandemic? Why would they say
not enough cases?
So then what is a world epidemic?
If you have 5 cases in every...
But by definition, you've just said that there needs to be a significant number of people affected.
Okay, SARS-1 hit 27 countries, 8,000 people. It wasn't declared a pandemic.
Why not?
Because we sniffed it out.
A lot of other people. Right, but it affected a lot of other people. All the people in Hong Kong who weren't actually infected with the virus were economically infected, and they were stigmatized. I mean, I think that's even the worst part, is that there was a prejudice and they were stigmatized.
I like Lori's definition. Not sure how to define what a pandemic is, but I know it when I see it.
That's like pornography. I don't know how to define pornography, but you sure as hell know it when you see it.
You know who said that?
I forgot what his name is, but I know it was famous.
I think one of the Supreme Court justices, Potter Stewart, is remembered
for his famous non-definition of obscenity. I know it when I see it. I don't know. That's obscenity. I thought it was pornography too, but who knows? Anyway, could COVID mutate to become more virulent?
No, COVID cannot mutate to become more virulent because it's a disease.
Right. So SARS-CoV-2 could, but it's not likely to happen. I'm waiting for a virus to do that, and hasn't happened in many years because it would have to be a random event because there's no selective force for becoming more virulent directly. So it would have to be indirect, which makes it rarer, I think. So unlikely. As for download versus listen, often I listen to TWIV twice because it's so interesting and I am learning, reading, looking things up. Lovely. This is exactly what we'd like you to do. Yeah. Okay, Patricia knows about Z-Dog, a media personality, a showman who's developed his own brand style. I consider people like him for mostly entertainment purposes. Dr. Vincent and Amy are genuine and informative. Yet Z-Dog has Paul Offit on, right? Is that for entertainment? What?
What does that have to do with it?
Well, Patricia's saying that Z-Dog is an entertainer, and that's why he has a following. But where does Paul Offit fit into the entertainment? Obviously, he wants to be considered erudite in some way or learned, but
I know what erudite means, and I don't know that because you're an but thanks for kind of implying that I had no idea what the word meant, and defining it for me. But I don't know that. I mean, the question could be, well, if he's an entertainer, why did Paul Offit agree to be on it?
I think, as you said, he goes on whoever asks because he has to spread the word. And like you said, I should do also. That's why he does it. But they seem to be good buddies because he's on every couple of months. It's fine.
Well, he's on TWIV every couple of months, so I don't know that I would say you're not good buddies.
We're here as always, Kip and Laura.
I've never seen Z-Dog advertised on the Vaccine Center website. I've seen all of his TWIV episodes advertised on his website.
Cool.
What do you think about that?
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. What do you think about that apples then?
Bub.
Exactly.
I knew I could see it coming off your lips, the bub.
Exactly.
Amy, are most significant discoveries in virology done in laboratories with scant resources? Many are. Not all, I would say. Not most.
All, but many.
But, the most recent one comes to mind, right? The lady who figured out how to get mRNA to work as a vaccine.
That's the most recent.
Catalin Carrico, she barely could get money to support her work because people didn't think it was.
That's the one that comes to mind.
Besides you, Dr. Rosenfeld.
I was going to say, seriously?
You don't like nepotism, do you? I can't use you as an example.
It's okay.
See, I know Amy doesn't like nepotism, so that's my card.
I don't like nepotism in favor.
Amy has done very nice work on scant resources. We were just told that in a review of a grant.
It was kind of snide. I mean, it was pointed out as a strength, but it was kind of snide. It was a backhanded compliment. And I'm surprised that the person who I sent it to, retort was, well, he was considered eminent by the review panel, as if he didn't understand the backhanded compliment.
Yeah. So I think some are done with labs with scant resources. Some are done with moderate, and some are done. It's a spread. I don't think there's any particular scenario, right?
No, it's luck. Excuse me.
Hey, Brian says, 10-year-old son developed mild symptoms Monday, tested positive via rapid antigen Tuesday. Other families negative, boosted. 75-year-old grandfather, is that GP?
Yeah.
Visiting tomorrow.
Grandparent.
Visiting tomorrow, both double boosted, healthy, safe, yes. Remember, look, if they should develop symptoms and they test positive, they need to get Paxlovid, right away.
Well, number one, the grandparents aren't coming until either Friday or Saturday. Kid
By then, you're
develops
good.
symptoms on Monday. I highly doubt that the kid is shedding today, and for sure not shedding by Thursday, enough virus to transmit.
Unlikely.
So I see no reason just in that logic.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
It's good. It's a good answer. Tangerine is both a Led Zeppelin song and the name of a great Led Zeppelin cover band from Canada. And it's also a Tangerine Dream is a band. Okay. Thank you, Neil, for your contribution to science communication. And Richard, thank you. Vincent, you have excellent eye contact. When you read, then you look up. I hope you have a great trip to Madison. I try. Richard, your comments influence me when you say, Z-Dog looks at the camera all the time. It seems like it's a good thing, so I try and do that. But, I know you have said in the past that I do look at the camera a lot. It's funny when you look at the camera is 2 feet from me, the lens anyway, right there. Yeah, I just look at this concentric circles of glass. It's so weird. And I hear Amy talking, and I'm looking at this guy. I'm tempted to look at her face, which is a little down to the right. Then you see my eyes go down to the right. But you have to stay focused. It's the thing. But now and then you need a break.
Yeah. So Richard has also pointed out that I look down because I'm looking down at the camera or something or other. I forget exactly what he said to me the other day. But yeah.
Amy, look at the camera right now. Look at the camera. There's the camera. It's a little bit up. Yeah. So actually, it's interesting. Anyway, Richard, planning a trip to the West Coast. I'll let you know. Maybe we could get together for 30 minutes or so. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, for sure. We should thank him. He's very supportive. And he's so very generous with his technology and his tech savviness, about how to place the lights and stuff.
Well, he's got a lot of experience, right? Has Amy found any good restaurants in her new location? And how is the shoe shopping? Neither, right?
Well, there is a shoe store on Wisconsin that I've walked into and past, was unimpressed, and it's towards Bethesda. So, but I have not gone to it. I have not gone out to dinner, and I have not ventured further than that shoe store for shoes because I've been focused on the lab.
Yes, not surprising, Elena. Give her 5 years. Are there any cool, effective, and comfortable masks in development? In winter, masks indoors are being highly recommended. Yeah, I've heard of some, but I can't tell you exactly what they are. I'm sure, Ian, that companies would like to do that because, I think people are going to want to wear masks in the upcoming fall. Do you know of any, Amy? This is not our purview now.
I don't know anything about masks.
Amy, I love your sweater. Amy, I think it's more persimmon.
Yeah, probably.
If there's a difference between contagiousness and transmissibility, could you please clarify?
Contagious sounds like something you contract. Transmissibility sounds something like you spread. But I don't know.
You don't know?
I do not know. I will not. I am fully acknowledging that maybe they are synonyms, but generally I think of it as something that you say chickenpox is really contagious when you touch somebody, right? So it sounds like it's because you're spreading it. Well, I guess spread is a synonym for transmissibility.
Well, I think they are used synonymously, as Amy says, but one could imagine giving them different definitions, right? So I would really like it if contagiousness referred to the ability of a virus to spread through a population. And one reason for that would be it has inherently greater transmissibility. And another reason.
Well, then what does transmissibility mean then?
Well, the transmissibility then would be the inherent properties of the virus that allow it to move more effectively from one person to another. For example,
there's no inherent property, but that's okay.
Well, that's what we do talk about, inherent transmissibility. It's what Ron
Right, that's
Fouché
why
is
there
talking
is,
about.
that's right, but there's no inherent transmissibility. His assay showed that you can enhance transmissibility by between ferrets, but the change had to do with something, had to do with a physical property of HA or NA, if I remember correctly. So transmissibility is not a property. The change in the function of HA or NA was the property that was changed.
Okay.
Personally, I
It's
think
inherent
that these
transmissibility. It's a somehow the HA is changed, and that affects the ability of the virus to transmit in droplets. What's the problem with that? I don't see it.
So the HA changed. So you really want me to believe that HA changed, and therefore there was more or less virus in a droplet? Or did HA change? Wait a minute. Or did HA change and and there's the same amount of virus in the droplets, but HA changed so that HA had greater affinity for X-sialic acid?
It's neither one. It's the stability of the protein seems to have changed, and
so therefore it's not transmissibility is a side effect.
No, it's not a side effect. It's a function of increased stability of the virus particle in the droplet, and that makes perfect sense to me. That would be a property that would increase transmissibility. Now, when you get a droplet with 10 PFU, they're all infectious as opposed to one, so you're more likely to get infected. That's what I'm talking about by inherent transmissibility. But that's my idea for contagiousness versus transmission. Is by no means that's not the definition. That's what I would like it to be, right?
Yeah, I just think that these words don't really have a play. If you want to argue that the stability of the virus is altered by the mutation, that's one thing. If you want to say that it's more transmissible, that's wishy-washy. It's smushy.
Here's one for you. Polio vaccine does not prevent transmission. Polio vaccine has almost eliminated polio. Why are these statements not in conflict?
So polio vaccine has not prevented transmission. That is true. You replicate polio in your gut and you enhance immunity and protect against the development of severe disease. Vaccine has almost eliminated polio because most people are immune to polio in their gut after OPV. So you make some amount of virus that may not be enough to stimulate the next infection, right?
And basically, the vaccines have replaced the wild type strains, and they continue to circulate. And so that's why they're not in conflict.
Yes, but they're not. But they're not also. They don't. But they revert, right?
Yes, but then you're
some
protected.
Percentage of right. You're protected because it doesn't allow for it's like an abortive infection when you get reinfected with VAP. For most people, when you get reinfected with CVAP, it does not cause paralysis. And the paralysis is caused by a defect in the host.
That's right. And so you're protected against disease by the vaccines, by the immunity conferred by the vaccines. And I mean, we still have virus circulating in much of the world because it's vaccine derived, and that's a problem. Yeah.
Well, if you talk to my person, he would say it's circulating in all of the world.
Your person?
You should have just my person, my boss,
Your
my
boss.
person, my person. Yes, he's my person. You would, and you should have focused on eradication of the disease and not the virus, because eradication of the virus is again only as good as your surveillance.
That's right.
The problem now is that the disease is caused by a variety of viruses. It's not a sole disease. It's not a sole proprietary agent, right? Like smallpox is only caused by smallpox, and measles is only caused by measles. Whereas AFM is caused by because it's a clinical definition, is caused by a variety a variety of viruses, right?
Let's AFM, Amy.
Acute flaccid myelitis is a
AKA childhood paralysis, right?
paralysis, right? But it's a clinical definition. You did an MRI and you say, we see this spot on the spinal cord,
Yep.
right? And they come in with some degree of limb weakness, right? Upper or lower limb weakness, right?
Yep.
So therefore, it's a clinical thing, right? Versus a non-clinical definition. And therefore, because so many viruses can cause those same symptoms, you can't really eradicate the disease.
All right. Principal manager says, what are the obstacles to have T-cell assays? You know, neutralization assays for antibodies are easy. What's the obstacle to T-cell?
You're never going to get that much blood out of people. It's not feasible.
Yeah, you need to take blood and culture the lymphocytes in the blood and then add peptides to them, which are from the virus that you're interested in. And then you have to measure the T-cell response, which is measured by interferon gamma secretion or T-cell activation markers. So it's not easy. It's a difficult assay.
It's just not feasible. Pfizer is not going to do this for 40 to 80,000 people that are in their clinical trials. Wow, it's 956.
They draw up blood for neutralization assays, Amy. You need more?
It's not feasible. Yes, it's not feasible.
Are you sure?
It's just not happening. Yes.
Okay,
I've heard it from good authority. It's not happening.
Does BA5 go into the lungs? It can. Same as other variants can, yeah. Do all antibodies from vaccines contract? Yes. They do, but you're left with memory B cells, which can respond in a couple of days and make more antibodies. Good evening. What can we possibly say as virology fans to people who say that vaccination makes you more likely to get COVID? Well, I would say that the data clearly show that vaccination makes you less likely to get COVID. And
I want to know, if you got vaccinated against polio, how come you haven't gotten polio yet then?
Yeah, COVID is no different. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you got vaccinated against measles, so where's your measles infection?
You could take Amy's approach, yeah.
No, I'm just curious.
That's good.
I mean, you don't have to take my approach. I'm just curious. So if you get vaccinated, it's more likely that you're going to get COVID. Well, you got vaccinated against polio. Did you get polio? Did you get measles? Did you get tetanus? Because if you got tetanus, then you shouldn't be talking. You might be dead because of lockjaw. Did you get pertussis? I just want to know. I'm just curious.
No, I think it's a good way. It's a better way than mine to look at it in some ways. Yeah, that's what they do. If you had SARS-CoV-2 nucleocapsid to mRNA vaccines, would that be a bad idea considering nucleocapsids an interferon antagonist, among other things?
What data says that it's an interferon antagonist?
Yeah, I've never seen such data. In fact, it's in some experimental vaccines, so I don't think that's a concern, Pablo.
I don't know.
Luis wants to know, where's the BA275 genome? Go to nextstrain.org. Nextstrain.org. You don't have a national because most of your hospitals are private as well. Okay.
live with it, but not if hospitals are overwhelmed as in the Australian winter. I don't know why they're overwhelmed. Is it an issue of under-vaccination? Is it an issue
Are
of
they
having...
overwhelmed solely by COVID, or are they overwhelmed for other? Are they overwhelmed because of other things, and then COVID would add to it?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on down under.
So, like for instance, did you saw that there's a huge increase in and echovirus circulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kids get seizures and then they go to the hospitals, right? So the hospitals fill up with kids who have para-echo infection and then potential seizures and various other neurological complications. So if you fill up all those beds and then you come in with COVID, then a SARS-CoV-2 inpatient, then it looks like it's like the hospitals are overwhelmed, but they're not really overwhelmed due to the SARS-CoV-2 that's circulating. They're overwhelmed because of the para-echo. Right, and SARS-CoV-2 just added to it. So I don't know if the hospitals are overwhelmed still due to, the lack of people who didn't get flu vaccination versus really SARS-CoV-2 infection.
I have to say, Ian, there's no evidence that this has anything to do with any particular variant. That's the confounding factors that people say, like, here, are the new variants affecting the lungs more? Some governments are stating they're more dangerous. They say the same thing with Delta, and it's not true. When you finally look at the problem carefully, you find that they're all equally virulent, and any observational data that are collected are wrong. They're simply wrong.
Well, they don't factor in immunity, right?
Yes, exactly right.
So I don't know. All right, so it's 10:01.
All right. Well, I got to get through the contributions, Dr. Rosenfeld.
I didn't say you shouldn't get through the contributions.
I know it's 10 o'clock, and we barely have made an impact on the questions tonight because everyone is so enthusiastic. There are almost 600 people here. It's fabulous. Elise, thank you for your contribution. It amazes me as a physician that there's so much negligent malpractice going on between bad vaccine advice and waiting or failing to start antivirals. This crazy behavior seems unique to COVID. I don't know if it is.
I think it's just loudest. I think it's just loudest.
I think it's very loud now.
In our circle, I would gather that if I talked to an oncologist, they would say the same thing.
Let's see. Wow. Now we're just getting to glyphosate. Oh, I use white vinegar. So this is what we use. 5% vinegar. Make a gallon of 5% vinegar, a half cup of salt, and a couple of squirts of dish detergent. Kills the weeds in a couple of hours. And it's not bad. Vinegar is good stuff, right? Yeah, Roundup is dangerous.
Does it selectively kill the weeds, or your plants die?
No, it will kill everything you spray it on. You got to be careful. Yeah. I got some on the grass, and it killed the grass too. So. Glyphosate is not good. Okay. Everyone thinks I look at the camera plenty enough. Okay. Richard has got a lot of experience at looking at cameras, so I listen to Richard. Let's get through these. I'm sorry to pass through all of these wonderful questions.
Well, they'll be back next week.
Well, this is an interesting comment. R0 is bogus to virologists the same way horsepower is bogus. Horsepower is meaningful for engineers. R0 is useful for public health experts. That may be.
Really? I don't understand how it's meaningful for public health experts.
Well, they think they're tracking the spread of a virus, but they're not. They're just putting out a fake number.
I don't know what they're tracking.
Thank you, Depleted, for your contribution. You watch all the COVID casts. Thank you. We have a great time doing them. And you can see that this Wednesday night thing is pretty cool. I talked to a reporter today. I can't remember where he wrote for, but
I was explaining about how vaccines don't prevent infection, all the stuff we talk about all the time. And he says, I know you've talked about this on TWIV, but it's hard to find the information on a pre-recorded podcast. I said, well, we do a live stream where you can get it live every Wednesday night. Thank you, Callista, for your contribution. Really appreciate it. Callista made your mask last year, Amy. Do you remember?
I do. I still have it. I love it. Thank you.
I hope that the next pandemic, at least people will understand what vaccines are doing and what they do not need to do. Yes, I would hope so. But I don't know. I'm just not
Good
sure.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, DR, for your contribution. Is it possible for a variant to emerge such as an additional protein becomes antigenic? Well, all the proteins are antigenic. All the viral proteins give rise to antibodies. Right, Amy?
Mm-hmm.
Politics and science are awkward bedfellows. Fauci is a politician. That's a very interesting take. He would not like that, He would not like that. A lot of good questions here, but I need to pass them up because I've kept Amy, and she probably hasn't eaten dinner yet, right? Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Allie, for your contribution. I'm enrolled in a whole genome sequencing germline clinical trial. What type of virology information I'd get from this? I enjoy you both. It's wonderful to see Amy laughing and so happy. Well, it's going to be hard for you to get virology information unless you've known what kinds of infections you've had in your lifetime and which were severe or not severe. And maybe you could say...
How is this information going to tell her how is that going to impact the interpretation?
Yeah, on a single person, it's not. You need to do this on many, many
people.
On
any person. On any person.
Amy, do I need to tell you? You take 10,000 people, and if 100 of them have had severe herpes encephalitis, you sequence their genome and see if any mutation correlates with severe herpes, right? And then you follow that up in the lab. That's what I'm talking about. So if she has had herpes encephalitis, and she could see if she has the SNP that correlates with it, right? So
sure.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
If they give you the data. H. Zoo, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for your contribution. I really appreciate it. To science communication. Very nice of you. There's a TikTok channel for Microbe TV with clips of Daniel. Yes, that's being put up by our intern, Hannah. We do have a TikTok account. It's Microbe TV. And Amy has someone working to put Amy clips up, right?
No, it's not Amy clips.
I thought you were going to put Amy clips up. Well, then I'm going to put Amy clips up. I want to put up the one.
She's making some Amy clips, and she's making some Ernst lecture clips, and she made some TWIV clips, like where Peter is flirting with Kathy. And Dixon going, I love this show. This is my favorite show of all time. So it's not. I'm going
to make an Amy clip of. They must have not had their internet at the WHO. Otherwise, they should have known that. There's so many good.
You can make any TikTok you want.
So anyway, there is a Microbe TV channel on TikTok. I don't remember what the exact, if it's microbe.tv or what, but there is one there, and things are slowly going up, and we're trying to expand where we are. And I do want to make a Discord channel for chatting, but I haven't had a chance to do that. Thank you, Margot, for your contribution. Always pass it on. Vaccines don't prevent infection. Very good. I love it. I love it. Let's find some other contributors to thank. I'm sorry to skip over all the questions. Thank you, Robert, for your contribution. Referring to the spread of anti-science and lack of humility as a pandemic. I think that could be a pandemic, don't you think, Amy?
Not clear how to differentiate a pandemic from chronic human condition. But okay.
That's an interesting point. Thank you, Morris, for your contribution. Really appreciate it. Wow, a lot of questions in chat today. Holy cow. This has been a lively evening, folks. You guys were supercharged. Hello, Ian. Thank you so much for your contribution. Ian, there's a great channel on YouTube. I can't remember the guy's name. He's living up in the mountains in Italy, and he's trying to renovate these.
Blue Eddy?
Yeah, someone sent him a Blue Eddy. How did you know this? Did you watch it?
No.
Someone sent him a Blue Eddy up in the mountains of Italy because he charges his batteries by solar panels, and he's going to use the Blue Eddy. He was waxing about how much better it is than his setup. I thought of you when I saw that one. It's very cool. All right, that does it for this. Oh, you want a Virology movie club? I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm thinking about that seriously. At some point, we're going to do that. We'll do a live stream, play clips from a movie maybe, and talk about them. Wouldn't that be fun, Amy?
Should do it with Ian.
That would be fun. But he won't do it. He's just, not into this social media stuff. Anyway, there's a number of ways you could do it. You could play the whole movie and pause and make comments, or you could You could play clips and then chat about it as well. But we'll do that. I think it's a great idea. All right, folks, thanks for coming tonight. Let me thank our intrepid moderators, Frank, Vanity Nutrition, Les, Steph, and Tom was here, right, as well. Thank you all for being here and for taking care of the riffraff. And thank all of 520 of you for coming and chatting amongst yourselves and asking great questions. And next week we're going to be here on Thursday because my flights on Wednesday get in too late. So we will post the date. But remember, Thursday next week for this live conversation. Thank you, Dr. Rosenfeld, for being here tonight. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Maybe next week I'll be in a better mood.
I'm sorry about the grants, but you are now beyond that, so don't worry about it. I understand, though, that
It's unbelievable that adults wrote these comments.
That's a good way to put it.
It's just unbelievable that adults thought that these comments were appropriate. I'm not sure my 4-year-old second cousin would think that these comments were appropriate, but she might have more manners.
Thank you, Amy.
All right, I will talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone, and good night.
Work on the next project. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.